I don't doubt at all that, you're completely genuine what you're saying with your confidence level and stuff. But that has to be a journey, I'm assuming, right? Like your boy Freddie Freeman this week at the World Series, like just showed that on the highest level. And you seem to have that mentality. But I'm guessing it doesn't start that way when you come into the series. So how did you get to this point where you can show up at a pressure-filled moment and be like, I've got this?
Just having been in that spot before, we've been fortunate enough to get to the round of 8, a handful of times, and to be in a position, being in a must-win at Martinsville is not necessarily a good thing, right? You would much rather have already punched your ticket or be in a point situation that is not last. That would also be good too. So, there's good and bad that come with having the experience of being where we're at. But we have, and that's the reality, and the reality is that we have to go out here and perform at an extremely high level. We, if the weekend's not perfect, it's got to be really close. And, I think the more that you put yourself in those positions, the more you feel comfortable in those positions, and just are able to recognize the important factors that go into ultimately what's going to give us the best result on Sunday, and just dial that in and go to work. So we've had a good week of prep, I feel like, and we'll find out here shortly kind of where we're at.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. Chase, you and I spoke earlier this year, and you talked about how when it comes to performance, you felt like it started to dip in the end of 22, carried over to 23, plus your injury. As this year comes to a close, is this team back to, I don't want to say back, but are you back to maybe like a baseline of where you should be with the capability now of getting stronger, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think the last 2 weeks have been probably as good as we've been in this car, particularly since the end of 22 for sure. We fired off really well, as you mentioned, and then got behind, and there's been some peaks, and unfortunately there's been more valleys than there have been peaks, but there have been some good days mixed in there too, just not on a consistent basis, and particularly at some of the tracks that we've been to in the last 2 weeks, and that was what I was alluding to earlier, and I think that's why I'm really proud of our team in a lot of ways, and excited for the weekend, and just excited for where we're at, because Vegas has been horrendous. I mean, like horrendous, and so is Homestead, for really about 2 years plus, maybe 3 years, on both of those places. So to go and to have the type of speed we had the last couple weeks, I think that's great, and I think that's something that we have to. While we didn't get the result that you want, I think you have to enjoy that, because, man, there's been some bad days over the last few years at those tracks in particular. So to stick together and continue to work and push and find a way to make the places that have been a struggle better, I think those are the signs that you want to see out of a team, and that is the type of mentality and effort that it gives me a lot of energy for the weekend. And while this is nothing like Vegas or nothing like Phoenix, but our pit stops were great last weekend. I thought Alan called a great race. So all the components that you need to make a run are sitting right there. So we just got to go get it.